Hello and welcome to this video about how to learn any language fast. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 proven strategies that I've used to help me learn languages quicker. If you use these strategies, you'll be able to get up to a decent level in any language within 3 months. So strategy number 1 is 1,000 words. So that is to go and learn the 1,000 most common words in that language that you're looking to learn. I have a link in the description below, and this will show you a website you can go onto, and it will give you the 1,000 most common words in that language. If you really learn these words, you'll be able to get the general gist of any conversation in that language. You might not understand everything in the conversations you hear, but you will be able to work out what exactly people are trying to say because you will know most of the words in the sentence. 80% of dialogue is within the 1,000 most common words. So by going on and learning these, dialing down on them as quick as possible, it's really going to give you a good foundation to be able to learn that language and speak to people at a fluent level. Strategy number 2 then is mnemonics. So mnemonics are to think of a word as a visual representation. So this is to picture in your mind what that word is, and it makes it a lot more memorable. So if you think of words in a different language, to be able to picture them in your head, and you'll be able to retain a lot more words on a daily basis. By using mnemonics, you should be able to learn 150 to 200 words every day. So for example, in Spanish, the word tenedor is for fork. As we've seen in the video, if you can see, you're prying off that tenor from the door with a fork. And if you use your senses when you are working with mnemonics, it's going to make things a lot more memorable here. So for example, when you have that fork in your hand and you're prying the tenor off the door, how exactly does that fork feel? What is the sound that you hear in your ears when you're prying that tenor off the door with the fork? And how does it feel between your hands as well? This is really going to help you to retain as much information and remember that word if you engage as many senses as possible during the learning process. As well as that then, the word for trousers in German is Hose. So imagine yourself putting on trousers and they're a pair of hoses. Imagine the texture of those hoses as you grab them and you're putting them on. What does it sound like as well, the squelchy sound when you're grabbing those hoses? Really try to engage your senses here, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to remember that word. Then if we look at the genders of different nouns in a language, so for example in Spanish there is el and there's la. El, if we think of that, that's the masculine gender. If we think of any word that begins with L to be blue, think of the whole image as blue. It's going to make us remember that that word is that gender. Then on the other side, if we think of la, if we think of that whole word being pink, it's going to make us remember then the gender for that word as well. So try to use this by putting different colors on the words you're remembering to make it more memorable. Tip number 3 then is Tandem. So Tandem is an app that you can use. Tandem, you're able to go on and speak with different native speakers from the language you're looking to learn, and they might also be learning the language that you speak as a native. You can then go and have different conversations with each other. I would recommend going onto this app, messaging 10 people and having a dialogue back and forth. This will really help you with your texting and being able to write emails if you're having a conversation by text. What you want to do then is move to a conversation with this person as soon as possible over the phone or over a Skype call, because when you are speaking the language, it engages you the most. You really have to start to structure those sentences. It's all good sitting down and listening to the language or texting the language, but you're not thinking and having to act directly on working and forming sentences in your head. So by having a conversation with someone, it really is the best way to accelerate the learning process and to get good at conversing in that language as well. So I will have a link in the description for the Tandem app as well. You can go on and download that, but I would recommend getting up and running with that as soon as possible and being able to message people. People will be at beginner level as well, so you'll be able to write even the most basic conversations with them and really just start from there. Hey, if you're getting value from this video, can you go and smash the like button below? Strategy number 4 then is to learn 3 verbs in a language that are really going to help you with conjugating verbs. It's also going to help you with improving your sentence structure in that language as well. So those 3 different verbs that you want to learn are want, can, and must. So in any language, you need to learn the conjugation for a verb. So for example, I have, you have, he, she, it has, we have, you plural have, and they have. But if you learn these 3 verbs that I've spoke about, you are able to just learn the conjugations from them, and then you can use the infinitive form of the verb, any other verb then, to use it alongside this. So this means you'll only have to learn the conjugation for 3 verbs, and you'll be able to structure sentences then by doing that. Although if you do learn these 3 key verbs, Your sentences aren't going to flow as well as a native speaker, but you really can get up to a good level there of conversing with people in just 3 months. So I really focus on dialing down on these 3 different verbs, the conjugations for them, for the I, you, he, she, it, we, you plural, and they. And it's going to save you a lot of time at doing that monotonous learning of learning the conjugations of all these different verbs, and let you speak at a much quicker rate and converse with natives in that language. So if we would say, for example, then they have to eat in Spanish, that would be tienen que comer. Then if you wanted to say they have to run, you would say tienen que correr. So you can see that you use the infinitive verb, which was comer and correr, and you just put that at the end instead of having to conjugate that. You're conjugating the tener que, which is must, part of the verb, and you only have to conjugate that for whoever you were speaking about and add the infinitive verb at the end of it then. Strategy number 5 then is total immersion. So total immersion is to go for 30 days and completely submerge yourself in that language. So the first point I would say on that is to get a podcast in the language. So this will be a beginner's one. It's going to be people speaking with each other over the podcast. Listen to this on your commute to work. Listen to it if you're going to a walk, but try to listen to it as much as possible, as it's going to let you hear sentences being structured in that language and let you pick up the dialogue in it pretty quickly. Number 2 then I would say is to go and find a series in that language. You can see people then, if it is in a soap series, you can look at people going into restaurants or into cafes and see the dialogue that they use when functioning on a day-to-day activities in that language. It will really help you then when you're placed in these situations and you need to be able to speak the language for ordering something or for saying goodbye. And finally then, I would say to find a beginner's book in that language, so you're going to be able to see the grammar that's used and the punctuation if you have a book. So by using these 3 different sources, you'll be able to work on your listening, your speaking, and you will be able to read better as well in the language. So just to recap then, strategy number 1 is to learn the 1000 most common words. This is really going to give you a good foundation in that language. Strategy number 2 then is to learn mnemonics. I have a link in the description below for a book for any of those of you who are new to mnemonics. I'd really recommend learning this, as it's going to make you be able to create stronger images in your head that are more memorable. Strategy number 3 is the tandem app we spoke about. Really try to move to a conversation with people on this as quick as possible, as that is how you learn a language fastest. And strategy number 4 is to learn those 3 key verbs we spoke about that are going to save you a lot of time on doing different conjugations of all the verbs in that language. And then strategy number 5 is total immersion. But guys, let me know how you get on with those strategies. If you have any questions at all, drop a comment in the section below.
Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel now to see more content like this in the future. See you soon.